In approximately 1 billion years, the oceans will boil. Not metaphorically, literally. Every drop of water on the surface of this planet will evaporate into space, and life as we know it will be impossible. And that's just the opening act of what our sun has planned for us. Fact number 1. The sun is already killing Earth, it just started slowly. Right now, at this very second, the sun is about 30% brighter than it was when life first appeared on Earth 3.8 billion years ago. According to models published in the journal Astrobiology by researchers including Dr. James Casting of Penn State University, our star increases its luminosity by roughly 1% every 110 million years as it fuses hydrogen into helium and its core gradually compresses and heats up. That doesn't sound like much until you do the math. In 1 billion years, that cumulative increase in solar output will push Earth's average surface temperature past the threshold where liquid water can survive on the surface. The hydrological cycle, the entire system of rain, rivers, and oceans that makes complex life possible, collapses. No ocean. No rain. No surface life. And we still have 5 billion years left on the sun's lifespan. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning of the beginning. Visual note, animated line graph showing solar luminosity increase over 4.5 billion years with color-coded temperature zones for Earth habitability, green zone fading to red. Fact number 2, there is an exact expiration date for complex life on Earth. Scientists haven't just said eventually, they've put a number on it. A landmark 2013 study published in Astrobiology by Andrew Rushby and colleagues at the University of East Anglia calculated that Earth will remain within its habitable zone, the range of distances from the Sun where liquid water can exist, for approximately 1.75 billion more years on the optimistic end, but the window for complex, multicellular animal life is far shorter. A 2021 paper by Drive Kazumi Ozaki of Toho University and Dr. Christopher Reinhard of Georgia Tech, published in Nature Geoscience, modeled Earth's atmospheric future in extreme detail. Their conclusion? In roughly 1.08 billion years, rising solar heat will accelerate the weathering of silicate rocks, which draws CO2 out of the atmosphere faster than volcanoes can replenish it. CO2 levels will drop below 150 parts per million, the minimum threshold for C3 photosynthesis, the process used by 85% of all plant species on Earth. Plants die. Oxygen crashes. Animal life, including anything descended from humans, suffocates. The specific number from their model, oxygen-rich atmosphere, persists for 1.08 billion years, plus or minus 140 million years. Your calendar just got a hard stop. Visual note, split infographic, left side shows current atmospheric composition pie chart, right side shows projected composition collapse timeline with CO2 and O2 trend lines dropping to zero. Fact number 3, the sun is physically pushing Earth away right now. Here's one nobody tells you at school. The sun is losing mass, constantly, in enormous quantities, and that mass loss is actually pushing Earth into a wider orbit. The sun ejects roughly 1.5 million tons of solar wind particles every single second. According to calculations by physicist Dr. Barry Jones, formerly of the Open University, this steady mass loss causes Earth's orbital radius to expand by about 1.5 centimeters per year. That sounds trivial, but over a billion years, it adds up to Earth drifting roughly 15,000 kilometers farther from the sun. Now here's the twist, that drift actually buys us a tiny bit of extra time in the habitable zone because a slightly more distant Earth receives marginally less heat. But, and this is critical, the drift is nowhere near fast enough to outpace the sun's increasing luminosity. We're shuffling away from the fire while the fire is growing exponentially faster than our shuffle. We can't outrun it. The math simply doesn't work. Visual note, animated orbital diagram with an exaggerated expanding spiral showing Earth's gradual outward drift versus a growing luminosity intensity scale bar beside it. Fact number 4. The sun will one day be so large it may literally swallow Earth. Approximately 5 billion years from now, the sun will exhaust the hydrogen fuel in its core and transition into what astronomers call a red giant. During this phase, it will expand to a radius of roughly 256 times its current size. a figure confirmed by stellar evolution models and published in research by Dr. Klaus-Peter Schroeder of the University of Guanajuato and Dr. Robert Conan Smith of the University of Sussex in their 2008 paper in the monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. At its maximum size, the Sun's outer atmosphere will extend to approximately 1.2 astronomical units from its center. Earth currently orbits at exactly 1.0 astronomical units. The math seems to say Earth survives, but Schroeder and Smith's model accounts for something others ignored. As the Sun expands, tidal forces and drag from the Sun's extended outer atmosphere will cause Earth's orbit to decay inward. Their conclusion is stark: Earth will most likely be engulfed. Not scorched from a distance. Consumed. Swallowed inside a star. Visual note: to scale solar system diagram morphing through time, current Sun size in yellow compared to red giant phase shown in deep orange, with Earth's orbital path highlighted and arrow showing inward drift. Fact number 5. The Sun is already changing Earth's day length, and has been for billions of years. This one is genuinely hard to believe. The Sun's gravity, working in combination with the Moon's tidal forces, has been gradually slowing Earth's rotation for billions of years. When Earth first formed 4.5 billion years ago, a single day was only about 6 hours long. By 1.4 billion years ago, based on analysis of ancient tidal sediment layers called tidalites studied by researchers including Dr. Marcia Bjornerud, a day had stretched to roughly 18 hours. Today it's 24. And it's still slowing, gaining approximately 1.8 milliseconds per century. Now here's the solar connection that stuns most people. As the Sun expands into its red giant phase, its increased diameter creates dramatically stronger tidal torque on Earth. Planetary scientists calculate this will dramatically accelerate Earth's rotational slowdown in its final billions of years. A day on dying Earth could last weeks, meaning one side bakes in 1,000-degree heat while the other freezes in permanent darkness. The planet becomes tidally hostile long before it's physically destroyed. Visual note: timeline bar chart showing Earth's day length from 4.5 billion years ago to projected future, segmented into geological eons with color-coded day length values at each stage. Fact number 6. The Sun has already fired a shot that nearly ended modern civilization. On September 1, 1859, the largest solar storm in recorded history, known as the Carrington Event, struck Earth. British astronomer Richard Carrington personally observed the solar flare that caused it, making it the first solar flare ever documented by a human being. The resulting geomagnetic storm was so powerful that telegraph systems across North America and Europe caught fire. Operators reported being shocked by their own equipment. Aurora Borealis was visible as far south as Cuba and Hawaii. Here is the part that should make your stomach drop. A 2008 report by the National Academy of Sciences estimated that if a Carrington-scale event struck today, it would destroy high-voltage transformers across the entire power grid, equipment that takes 1 to 2 years to manufacture and replace. The total economic damage? Estimated between $1 trillion and $2 trillion in the first year alone, with recovery taking 4 to 10 years. And according to a 2012 study by physicist Drive Pete Riley published in Space Weather Journal, the probability of a Carrington-scale event hitting Earth in any given decade is approximately 12%. We have already rolled that dice several times since you started watching this video. Visual note: world map infographic showing 1859 telegraph network overlaid with color-coded vulnerability zones for modern power infrastructure, alongside a probability gauge graphic for solar storm risk per decade. Fact number 7. The Sun's death will create one of the most beautiful objects in the universe, then silence. After the red giant phase, something extraordinary happens. The Sun won't explode in a supernova, it's not massive enough for that. Instead, it will shed its outer layers in a spectacular, glowing shell of ionized gas called a planetary nebula. This process, which takes roughly 10,000 years, will create a luminous structure up to a light-year across. Hubble Space Telescope images of similar objects, like the Helix Nebula, 650 light-years away, or the Ring Nebula, 2,500 light-years away, show what our solar system's obituary will look like: concentric rings of glowing blue, red, and gold gas expanding silently through space. At the center of that nebula, the Sun's core will remain as a white dwarf, a dense, Earth-sized ember of carbon and oxygen roughly the mass of the current Sun, compressed into a sphere about 14,000 kilometers in diameter. According to stellar cooling models, this white dwarf will slowly radiate its remaining heat over trillions of years. In approximately 10 to 15 billion years after its formation, it will become a hypothetical object called a black dwarf, a cold, dark, invisible corpse. No light. No heat. No signal that a star was ever there. The universe doesn't do funerals. It just moves on. Visual note: Hubble-style nebula color reference chart showing spectral emission colors: hydrogen alpha red, oxygen 3 blue-green, nitrogen 2 deep red, alongside a size comparison diagram, white dwarf versus Earth versus current Sun. Fact number 8: humanity has a window, and scientists have calculated exactly how long it is. This is the fact that rewires everything. We've established that complex life ends in roughly 1 billion years, oceans boil, Earth is eventually consumed, and our Sun dies 5 billion years from now. But here is what makes this genuinely staggering. In the context of the universe's total projected lifespan, estimated at over 100 trillion years before the last stars burn out, our entire window for complex life on Earth, from the first animals in the Cambrian explosion 541 million years ago to the projected end of animal life in 1 billion years, represents a total span of approximately 1.54 billion years. Expressed as a fraction of the universe's star-forming lifespan, that is 0.0015%. Did you know that 95% of all Sun-like stars that will ever exist in the universe haven't been born yet? According to research by astrophysicist Dr. David Sobral and a 2015 paper in the Astrophysical Journal, star formation peaked 10 billion years ago and has been declining ever since. But the long tail of star formation stretches trillions of years into the future. That means the overwhelming majority of potentially habitable worlds, with their own oceans and atmospheres and perhaps their own forms of life, will exist in a universe we will never see. We are not the future of the cosmos. We are, cosmically speaking, among its very first rough drafts. And yet here we are, on this thin crust of rock, orbiting a middle-aged star, with roughly 1 billion years of biological possibility still in front of us. What we do with that window is the only question that has ever actually mattered. Visual note: Universe Timeline Infographic, logarithmic scale from Big Bang to heat death of universe, with Earth's habitable window highlighted as a thin colored band, zoomed inset showing human civilization as a near-invisible sliver within that band. 1 billion years. That's the real number. Not a metaphor, not a movie plot, a peer-reviewed, multi-institutional scientific consensus on when the lights go out for life on this planet. The sun that grows your food, warms your skin, and lights every morning you've ever seen is also the clock that's been counting down since before your ancestors were single-celled organisms. We live inside a star's slow, beautiful, inevitable goodbye. Subscribe to Moonlit Minds for daily mind-blowing facts that will change how you see the world.